on Facebook. And here we go. Good morning, everybody. I'm Vicente with Latino Tax Pro here today with another hot topic for today. Hopefully, everybody's ready for tax season. We have Mr. Carlos Lopez, CEO of Latino Tax Pro, with us, and Mr. Timur Taluy from Pro Tax Pro. Just had to add that dramatic pause for you, Timur.
Thanks, Vicente.
And also we have Rachel as well from Pro Tax Pro here. Thank you everybody for joining us here in the Zoom um, broadcast. And we're also broadcasting live through Facebook Live. So we are going to be answering questions, concerns, all that, comments. I know this is a weird time, tax season starting late, which definitely will bring us up to our topics today. And yeah, without further ado, I have Mr. Timur Taluy and Mr. Carlos Lopez. Would you like to say something about yourselves? Introduce yourselves?
Thanks, Vince. Thanks for moderating this, and I'll be happy to let Timur go first.
Well, thanks there, Carlos.
Okay.
Like Vince said, I'm Timur Taluy with Pro Tax Pro. We develop tax software, and we sell it to tax preparers under the Pro Tax Pro brand. And we also do-it-yourself products that we enable tax offices to offer do-it-yourself products to help bring in new business and support clients that may be uncomfortable coming into their offices or maybe moved out of the area. So we have a lot of great tools and products, but I'm excited to talk about a February 12th start date with you, Carlos.
Sounds good, Timur. Thanks. Yeah, it's been an unusual year. No more unusual than last year. Tax season starting February 12th. At least it's starting. They've given us a start date, better than keeping us in limbo. I remember the days when we had the RAL product and tax season started January 2nd. And you didn't need a W-2, you just needed to fire it off. And there you were. And things have really changed since then. And I'm glad it's been better. Wait till you get that W-2. Now, here's a big misconception that a lot of people have is that you have to wait till February 12th. Well, that isn't true. For the first time that I can remember, the IRS is allowing the software companies to stockpile.
Yep.
Is that right, Timur?
Yeah, I mean, here, I'll share my screen really quick. If you look at, this filing statistics from last year, basically right now, January 31st, 2020, they had almost 16 million tax returns in 2020 already filed to the IRS. And 2019, over 16 million that had already been filed to the IRS. So those returns are out there. And you're right, Carlos. The IRS actually gave specific guidance in one of the ERO publications, I think 3112, that says if the IRS isn't ready to accept returns but the tax software company is approved, they can begin accepting those returns and hold them, because sometimes the IRS, lets us file returns a little early, or they give us specific guidance right on the 12th about when to file returns. So whatever returns we have are going to be the first ones sent and the first ones to get refunds issued, because PATH Act, Carlos, is February 12th for the normal funding of a tax refund that has a refundable credit like earned income tax credit or child tax credit. So it's really important those returns get processed early so they hit that February 15th funding date.
Yeah, that's right, Timur. You want to be first in the queue. So we tell our clients, no, don't wait. Get in here. Let's get that return completed. Let's queue it up. Make sure that the software company has it so they can fire it off so that the IRS can start processing returns, and yours will be closer to the front instead of in the back. You can ask Vince. Vince himself is our office director at our Soledad office. How's it been over there, Vince?
Yeah, we've been getting busy, contacting our clients. What we normally do is reach out a couple of days in advance and let them know, hey, they're like, oh, but I saw in the news that it's not going to open until the 12th. yes, e-filing is not going to open to the 12th, but let's get you an estimate. Let's get you to see what your refund's going to look, all the updates, everything that's coming up now, like the recovery rebate credit, what we're going to do with that. If you didn't work, let's see what we can do with earned income credit as far as last year, what you did, but we are getting them to come into the office, making sure we make it super easy for them. Give them a call. We do in-person appointments, virtual appointments, email us your documents. So we have a portal set up for them, making it super, super easy for them to get us their information as quickly and as possible as they can. And then now with that said, Mr. Lopez, would you like to talk a little bit about the rebate recovery credit? I know that's a hot topic right now.
Oh yeah, we're getting tons of questions about the recovery credit, and because there's just so much at did you get it? Did you not get it? The IRS sent out Form 1444 and 1444-B, and of course, when clients come in, they go, "What form is that? I don't know what I got." So, and if it was direct deposited, well, let's take a look at your bank account and see if it went in there. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I just, I depend on my text to let me know what my balance is. So, yeah, there's a lot. So I'll just probably wait to hear what some questions will be. And the software developers like Timur have a challenge on what do you put in last year's, stimulus check, you put in this year's. What do you think, Timur? What's your opinion on that?
My opinion. So there's a real challenge out there, right? Because just like you said, Carlos, a lot of people don't know or remember how much stimulus they received last year. And a lot of people who received the first stimulus check might not have gotten the second one.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't get the second one, what do you do? If the IRS thinks they sent it to your bank and it was sent back to the IRS, there's a lot of people like that. I think the IRS, if you look at their website, their FAQs, they're sending out, they're trying to resend some of those this week. And so you were supposed to report that on your taxes. So if you already filed your tax return and said, I didn't get my stimulus, you filed for the recovery rebate credit, because if you didn't get your payment in 2020, you can get it as a part of your refund in 2021. That's the whole point. And so many people are trying to figure out how to do that and do it right. And it's really important for tax preparers to do that right, because if you don't get the right number on the recovery rebate credit and it gets to the IRS is going to have to adjust that return. The law gave them what's called math error authority. So the IRS can actually change the return while it's in flight. I like to call the returns like flying on an airplane, but while it's flying through the IRS systems, they can adjust the refund amount to add more recovery rebate credit or take recovery rebate credit away if it was filed wrong. But all that process takes time, and it could possibly slow down a refund, right? Because if you think about it, they have to make that decision to change that refund. It just takes time. So that's something else, Carlos, people are always worried about, is how fast am I going to get my refund? And with the season starting on the 12th, we want to make sure we have accurate returns as possible so they don't hit any sort of processing delays at the IRS.
Yeah, and what we try to do, of course, is make sure that we provide the best service to our clients. So we want to make sure we have the accurate information in there. But then again, you want to help your client, and if they don't remember what they got, then put in the max, and then but warn them that now you've put in something that you're not sure what it is, and of course we don't have access to that information. Your refund could be held up just a little bit longer while the IRS sorts through it.
The same thing is really important to be accurate. I don't know where Vince got his tax education training, Carlos, but he got some really good tax education training.
The best.
I know, because he's talking about using the prior year earned income for EITC. So a lot of taxpayers who maybe had some unemployment income, and I think Latino Tax Board just put out a really good email information yesterday about how unemployment income is taxable, right? And it's not earned income. So if you made the same dollars in 2020 as you did in 2019, but half of it was unemployment compensation, that EIC could potentially be lower. The child tax credit could potentially be lower because you have less earned income, because unemployment is not earned income. So what Vince was talking about earlier is that software is going to allow you to follow the law that was passed in December 27th, I think, right? That said you can use your prior year earned income to calculate your 2020 EIC and child tax credit, which is a really big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of tax preparers even know about it, because unless you've been following Latino Tax Pro and the bulletins and education that you guys put out, you may not have seen that Congress passed that law back on December 27th.
Right. You're right. Thanks, Timur. Yeah. So what you're allowed to do now, it's a look back period. And I think they allowed this, it was at 2009, 2010, there was another issue.
Yeah, during the financial crisis, the same
During
thing.
the financial crisis, we could look back for a different year for a more favorable treatment. And that's where it is right now. So like you were saying, Timur, let's say last year you made 30,000, you have 2 children, so you qualify for $1,600 of EITC or income tax credit. Well, this year, once again, you made $32,000, but 12 of it was unemployment. So it lowered your income back down to 18,000 or whatever, and your earned income tax credit dropped. Well, that's not your fault. So they're allowing the look back period so that you can use 2019's adjusted gross earned income to boost up that credit, because the credit was initially put into law by Congress as a way to help people from going on public help. So it's a very important part of the law to Congress and to a lot of politicians. And so they really want to make sure that it's protected, not abused, and used properly. It's the largest, how did they put it? It's the largest social program in the United States, is the earned income tax credit.
Yeah, and one of the nice things about having online software like ours is we were able to really push that update right into people's software immediately after the law was passed. We were able to make the changes to the software. You don't have to put any updates in, any downloads in, just like Latino Tax Pro's education can push it to you. We're able to push that update to our software. So I saw Vince put a little thing in the chat asking for questions. I think Vince is watching the Facebook page too. So anybody watching live on Facebook, if you have some questions for Carlos or me, just put those questions into the chat, put your questions into the Zoom chat. We have some, I think Vince has got some questions from people from before that he has to go through, but if there's any questions, anything Carlos and I are talking about, please put it in there. We'd love to clarify anything that we've said.
Yeah, one thing I like about Timur's software is, since it's online, it's not like other software where you have to go in, get an update, apply it, make sure everybody's logged out, make sure you don't crash your program. Their software updates are immediate. So when you log in, you're getting the latest, greatest software. And that's great.
Thanks,
That's
Carlos.
a big advantage.
Yeah, thank you, Timur. And we do have some questions that are starting to pop up in Facebook, in the chat, here in Zoom as well. We invite you to enter your questions here. And then let's see. So we have a question. Can you hear me, Timur?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Making sure. So here's a question that, going back to the EIC credit, the recovery. What form should I use? Using ProTax Pro, what form, or how can they go about using last year's income to get part of that earned income credit this year?
So in our software, and I don't know how every software has done it, but in our software, if you are a prior year user, we automatically check the prior year earned income and check both of them. And then we put a little note up on the screen that we've used your prior year earned income, and here's how much more EIC we calculated for your customer, right? So if that information's there, we just automatically use it and let the tax preparer know so they can tell their customer how that tax preparer is really working to benefit the taxpayer. Because I think the more taxpayers understand what tax preparers are doing, it shows the value of our business and our trade. And, we'll get more customers, you'll get more word of mouth. Hey, my tax preparer got me an extra $1,000 in my refund because they looked back to my prior year income. But for customers that are new, let's say you have a customer that came to your office because that word of mouth that you got going about your office, and they didn't use us, so we don't have the earned income. We have a kind of a catch-all page. Like, I don't know if you probably have seen the virtual currency question. Like, did your customer sell virtual currency in 2020? There's just a bunch of these questions now that IRS is asking on your tax return that you have to ask. And so we threw out into that catch-all page because every tax preparer sees that page for every single client because there's just some required questions we have to ask. Yeah. So we just threw it in there because we also wanted to educate tax preparers, just like, you guys have that awesome education program and real-time communication. We tried to educate people about, hey, by the way, if you give us the prior year earned income, we're going to try to get a better situation, better refund for your customer.
Perfect. So it'll be more with the software rather than an actual form, right? Those are some of the questions that we're getting asked.
Yeah, so actually that's an interesting, I think, Carlos, in 2019, there was a checkbox on the 1040 and you checked the box and said, I used my prior year income. This year, the 1040 was already out. I haven't seen any revisions to the 1040. I was just literally looking yesterday to see if they did that, but there's no checkbox or no indicator that you used your prior year earned income. You just do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, I'm looking on it right now to see where you would enter that.
Because there used to be an indicator if you use non-taxable combat pay.
Right.
And so this is the same idea. You're just using a different number. And then now they also have, if you use the Medicare rebate, the 2014-7 revenue procedure, you can indicate that. But we've been looking and we haven't found any place you mark on the return you're using prior year earned income. But there's still 3 weeks before filing season. Maybe they'll update us and we can, that's the nice thing about the software again. We can throw that update in and all the e-files that go out will go with the most current requests from the IRS on the 12th when they all go out on the 12th.
Yeah, that's the advantage your software has, Timur, being online, and you guys are able to, as soon as you find something useful and updated, you can check your software and then, man, make it live.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that update, Timur and Mr. Lopez. We do have another question from Silenia here in Facebook. Her question is, Mr. Lopez, about Form 7202. A person that combines a W-2 and 1099 got COVID with her 2-year-old son. Can we apply the credit of this form for her?
Let's see, credits for sick leave and family leave.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 7202. What it'll do is it'll go in there and back out some of the self-employment tax. So it kind of like attaches to the Schedule SE almost. And so if there was I think the question was that there was a 1099. And so yes, if the 1099 resulted in a Schedule SE with the self-employment tax, I believe you can take that 7202 and get some of that self-employment tax refunded back to you for the COVID sick leave, just as if you had been a employed person at a W-2 job where you got COVID sick leave. So the 7202 reconciles the amount of COVID sick leave you received from your employer on the W-2 and allows you additional COVID sick leave for the time which you are a self-employed person.
Right. So it's finally a little tax benefit for the self-employed. Usually, there hasn't been anything like this that I can remember.
Yeah, me either.
Nice. Then we also have, circling back around to the stimulus payment. One of my questions here when I'm back at the local tax office, filing taxes with my clients, their question is, if I didn't get my second stimulus payment for whatever reason, how do I go about that? How can I take care of that? How do I get my my refund, my stimulus payment? Is that going to be mailed out separately, part of my return? What's going to happen? That's usually a typical question.
Yeah, usually it'll get included in your, when you prepare the tax return. Because here's another scenario that what you're talking about is, let's say when the stimulus first came out, if either parent had an I-10, they weren't allowing the stimulus payment for the taxpayers. Then what they did on the second one was they said, oh, if you have one parent with a good social and the kids have socials, then they're allowing the payment, the stimulus. So everything is just so changing so rapidly, it's hard to keep up with everything. Does that sound right, Vince?
Yeah, yeah, it is. And yeah, so basically, in that form, it basically down as well. It'll come down to your software, and if you're using ProTex Pro, definitely give a call to Timur directly. No, I'm just kidding. Their support.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. But you know, the other scenario, Carlos, which is happening to a lot of people, is let's say you had a baby in 2020.
Oh yeah.
Because the IRS doesn't know you had a baby. And so when you file that return, obviously you'll have a tax ID number, a social security number for the baby, and you'll put it on that tax return. And then you're eligible for extra stimulus in stimulus 1 and extra stimulus in number 2. So that new baby is, I'm used to the child tax credit, and I used to be the old deduction back in the old days and exemptions, but the child tax credit, but you get extra benefit of the recovery rebate credit for that new baby. So that's the other thing too, is there's a lot of people. I don't know. I think 2020 was the year of babies and divorces. Carlos, is that what they're telling us? You either had a baby.
I don't know
or got a
about
divorce.
divorces, but babies, yes. We have a new grandson that was born last year.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and there was a lot of benefits with that. I believe one of them was you could withdraw up to $5,000 out of your qualified retirement plan and not pay any penalties on it.
And then not pay taxes and spread the taxes over 3 years.
And spread the taxes over 3 years. So no, 2020 had a lot of good things for the taxes built into it, but a lot of sad things for all the poor people that caught COVID and didn't survive.
Yeah.
So
sure.
it was a very good friend of mine. I'd known him for over 40 years, passed away from the COVID. And so it was topsy-turvy, man. It still is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it's important, as tax preparers, as always, interview your customers and make sure you're asking them all the questions you can to find them the best benefits, whether it's the recovery rebate credit or this EITC, or like Carlos said, if they pulled money from the retirement accounts, they can choose to spread the tax over 3 years. And I think they can even pay it back. So if you pay it back, you get your tax back. So that's the 8915E or something. That's a new form too that's out. The IRS hasn't even released it yet. It's still in draft for those retirement people, folks that pulled money from retirement accounts.
Nice. Thank you for those breaking news, Timur. We do have another question circling back around to the mixed status stimulus payments. One of the questions from Yvette is regarding the second stimulus payment, that's only for those mixed status, that applies only for the second round, right?
Well, that's the whole thing. Just a couple days ago, I understand that it could go back to the first one, and you could get the double. You can get both of them.
Okay.
So our recommendation is file for it, because the way you're going to get it is by filing a tax return.
Yeah, at this point, the only way to get it is the recovery rebate credit.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and that was great information as well. Being diligent, asking those interview style questions. If you're not, you haven't subscribed to Latino Tax Pro yet, I do recommend you do so. Get on our newsletters, create an account in our learning management system. We do have interview style forms included for everybody that registers. I'll put the link in the comments, and we'll send everybody in the Zoom platform the link so you can register, subscribe to our newsletter. And if you haven't subscribed to ProTax Pro's newsletter, I suggest you do that as well. We'll keep you informed, up to date with all this changes that are coming up so rapidly, and then we're all trying to catch up and stay on point. Um,
Hey, real quick before you get to the question out there from
Okay.
Bobby, I will say that Carlos made a good point. Just yesterday, they're talking about expanding the EIP1 to folks with ITIN. With the new Congress, they're talking about a new tax bill. They're talking about a $1.9 trillion stimulus bill that has a whole slew of tax provisions, including increasing EIP2 from $600 to $2,000. Like, things are happening on a day-to-day basis. And one of the nice things about what Latino Tax Pro is doing, and Vince, like you had said about registering, they push out information that's relevant to tax preparers, right? So that $1.9 trillion bill is probably $2,000 of laws, or 2,000 pages of laws. And so what happens is, Carlos and Latino Tax Pro are members of CIRCA. CIRCA has a relationship with the IRS. Everybody works together to pull out the important stuff that's relevant to tax preparers. Latino Tax Pro participates in the IRS National Public Liaison and gets information firsthand, a lot of times before it's even pushed to the IRS website. And they turn around and push it out through emails to us. Like, honestly, as a software developer, sometimes I get information from Latino Tax Pro. I'm like, oh, wow, I need to figure this out and make sure our software is doing it right. So signing up for that newsletter and getting that information in real time is such a benefit because as things are changing so quickly, you don't have time to go look at IRS forms because the IRS forms are wrong. Congress changed the law, tax preparers have to start doing it, and then the forms change. And like Carla said, file for that recovery rebate credit now, because if they change the law, at least that return will be in the system and the IRS can go back and pay it, even if the law is not right when they process the return. It's kind of counterintuitive for us as tax preparers, like to follow rules and guidance and forms. But in this case, a lot of stuff is changing so quickly, you got to kind of look ahead. And Bobby's question, I guess, if IRS says they deposit to the wrong bank account, the IRS is not going to redeposit to changed bank accounts. What happens is the IRS shuts down its computer systems for a period of time between December and January. And so as a result, if the money was sent back, it'll get processed by the IRS and it'll get updated into the system. But so like Carlos said, file for the recovery rebate credit now. So when that information is all updated and it's corrected, it'll either get redeposited to the correct bank account or they'll pay the recovery rebate credit. One way or the other, that taxpayer will be made whole and get the credits that they deserve. They just need to make sure that they file for it on the tax return. So that way the IRS knows they're looking for it.
Right. That's why it's important to emphasize to your clients, well, and to those listening in, to file your taxes yearly. Get that extension if you're not ready. Get them in there on time for several reasons, and mortgages, immigration purposes, getting your stimulus payments. There's just this country is based on those tax returns, and there's a lot of people that are out there to help you.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, if Congress passes a third stimulus, a third EIP, the IRS is going to look for that 2020 tax return to know where to send that money. So if you don't have a filed tax return, you're not going to get, this third stimulus payment if that actually comes through.
And direct deposit is really the best way to go.
Yeah, and one of the things too, Carlos, I don't know if you know this, but when you file a balance due tax return, and you put the bank account number for the balance due payment, the IRS can't use that bank account number to turn around a stimulus payment. You
I
have
did
to
not know
put,
that.
you have to put the bank account number in the direct deposit field on the 1040. So even if there's a balance due and you do a paper check payment or an ACH payment or credit card payment, whatever you do, all of the software should be enabled that you can put a bank account number on the direct deposit line. So that way, if there's any future stimulus payments, the IRS can pull that information off the direct deposit line and pay the stimuluses, even if that return had a balance due. That's something a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's good information. Thanks.
So like our software, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to put this payment bank account number as the refund bank account in case there's a stimulus? And then most everybody says yes. And so it just prints there. Doesn't really hurt the tax return, but it gives the IRS the information and authority to send the refund to that bank account if they need to, or stimulus to the bank account if they need to.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you for that update, Timur. And I didn't know that myself either, but that's good information to know. And then going back to the questions for Bobby, client's bank account number was entered wrong in 2019, and we did not catch that because the client had to pay. They haven't received their stimulus payment for 2021, and IRS is telling them that the money was deposited into their bank account, which was wrong. Should I do the credit and wait for the IRS to sort this out, or what should my next steps be?
So yeah, that's the same thing I was saying earlier. You know, he should definitely file for the recovery rebate credit, because if the bank sent that money back to the IRS, then the IRS will update that as they begin processing things, and then they'll see the recovery rebate credit and be able to pay it out.
And if worse comes to worse, you can always contact the Taxpayer Advocate Service, TAS, and they're all over the country, and they'll be happy to help you out. You file what's called Form 911. If you Google that, get Form 911, explain the situation to the Taxpayer Advocate Service, and they're really good. They've helped us a few times, and they're out to help people.
I just referred one of my clients over there because he's under an exam, and you know, he's been having trouble getting his records put back together because his accountant is no longer around, and he keeps sending him letters. And you know, the IRS has like 26 million letters that they haven't opened yet.
Right.
And so I think they just don't receive his letters. And so now they said they're going to send him to tax court if he doesn't pay. And I said, hey, call the taxpayer advocate, because you're not getting response to your letters, probably because they haven't opened them. But you need to follow up on that, right? So I gave him the Form 911 too just yesterday.
Yeah. No, it works. They're good people, and make sure you send it to the right service center though, because I think there's 12 of them. So make sure you get it to the one that's closest to you, and yeah, they'll call you back. That's a good question though.
Yeah, then we have another one in Facebook from Mary. If you owe IRS, will they keep the stimulus payment?
Oh.
Wait, what's the question again, Vince?
If you owe IRS, will they keep the stimulus payment?
So here's the actual challenge, right? Is if you get a check from the IRS to the direct deposit, I mean, like I said, they're reissuing a bunch of them this week, then no, they wouldn't do that. But if you owe money and you're due the recovery rebate credit, it works like any other credit on your tax refundable credit on tax return. Just like if you owe money, but then you got the child tax credit, right? It would reduce the amount you owe and even turn you into a refund. The recovery rebate credit is going to work the same way. If you did owe money more than your recovery rebate credit, then the recovery rebate will go to pay the money you should have paid the IRS. If you owe money less than what your recovery rebate credit should be, you'll get refunded the difference. And so that's actually a significant question. That's a really good question.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think the only reason the IRS would withhold all of it is if you owe back child support.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Hey,
Then we have Dawn here asking if the client checked the status of her second stimulus payment on the IRS website and it states that the payment was mailed on January 6th, but she still hasn't gotten it. How long should she wait for so she can claim it on the return, or should she not even claim it at all?
well, it's hard to say because January 6th, that's 20 days ago. That's 3 weeks. That's a long time. Maybe it went back to the problem with the IRS sending checks. And I want all of you to listen to what I'm about to say. They only mail the check once. So if they mail a check to you and the post office sends it back to the IRS, unless you do something about it, they won't send it a second time.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you may have to call them or once again go to TAS. But yeah, that's why we just said earlier, direct deposit's the way to go. But make sure, like that last question we got, get the right number. Get the right routing number and the right deposit account number, and don't use a deposit slip. A deposit slip doesn't have the right numbers on it. It may have the right account, but not the right routing. Use an actual check, or if you, a lot of banks on their websites will have the routing number that you need to direct payments.
That's so important. Yeah, and I'd say, if it was actually mailed a check on January 6th, then probably, yeah, like you said, Carlos, 20 days is a long time.
That's a long time.
If they said it's a direct deposit, there were a lot of direct deposits that were sent back to the IRS, right, that they're going to try to reissue this week. But either way, if you're not sure, the IRS has that math authority, and you can either put it on your return as a recovery rebate credit, or they'll add it in there if they think you're eligible for more based on their information once they get all their systems updated with all the returns and reissues and stuff that are happening.
Yeah, and the reason they sent back some of that money is because if you used a bank product, in other words, if you went to a tax preparer who said, oh, you don't have to pay any money up front, we'll use one of these banks to front you the money and then we'll pay your fees out of it. What the IRS did unknowingly or knowingly, I'm not sure, is they sent the money to the bank. Because what they do is they set up a temporary bank account for you to handle that transaction from your refund, pay the bank, pay you, the preparer, and then pay the taxpayer. Well, the IRS sent the money to that bank. So those banks either sent it back to the IRS, or some of them tried to send it to the taxpayer. Oh, it was a disaster.
Well, but one of the things, Carlos, is when we send returns to the IRS as a software company, and there is a bank product, we almost always tell them, here's the bank account it's going to.
Oh, that's
right?
good.
So if you print out a check in the tax office, we tell the IRS it's printing out a check in the tax office. So the IRS knows if there's a stimulus payment, it can send it directly to the taxpayer, or for those taxpayers that got checks printed in the office, they can turn around and print checks for the taxpayer and mail them out. And so if you notice in the stimulus number 1, most of those payments went directly to the people. In stimulus 2, more of them went to these banks that were doing the bank products. And so the question is what happened, because they got stimulus 1 mostly right. There are some issues with it, but in stimulus 2, there were some more challenges. So I think the tax industry and everybody is working together with the IRS to make sure IRS looks in that e-file and sees where the ultimate bank account number is for the taxpayer, so they can route any future payments to that final account, or if they got a check or a card in the office, to send them a check so they get the payment quickly and efficiently. So I think the bank products are still a good product for a lot of taxpayers that you don't have the money to pay for tax preparation services, or don't have the ability to, pay for their tax preparer right there on site. So for those taxpayers, the bank product is the right answer. I think there's a lot of work being done to make sure that they get access to those funds as quickly as possible, just like most of them did in the IP1.
Thank you.
Yeah, the bank products serve their purpose. That's true. Because if you're going through a tough time and you don't have any cash, it's the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit you get from a tax preparer helping you navigate the tax rules, I think, is significant. And obviously the tax preparer needs to get paid. So the bank product is an important piece.
Thank you. Yeah, and basically that's summing up and answering Amanda's question. Basically, her question was, do you recommend still doing bank products this year? And you guys, thank you for responding to that. And then we have a special comment here from Tony. He's saying, "What's up, everybody?"
We miss Tony.
Yeah. So and then just to to keep moving with the schedule. Thank you everybody for submitting your questions. There were quite a few good ones here. And then just circling back, as far as the offices is staying in compliance, how to go about COVID, the whole situation. Mr. Lopez, can you tell us a little bit of what Lopez Tax Service is doing to keep the clients and the employees and everybody safe, as also being compliant with the CDC guidelines? And then we'll jump right next to you, with you, Timur.
Yes, what we're doing at our retail stores, as some of you know, we have 6 brick and mortar stores, as well as our webcam tax, our online service. So what we've done is we've installed plastic shields in front of each station. Excuse me. We've issued face masks to all of our staff. There's hand sanitizers at each desk. We've placed the chairs in our lobbies at 6-foot intervals. We've also asked people to drop off if they can. If there's too many people in the office, we'll ask them to wait in their car, and we'll be happy to call them to come back in. But more importantly, what we've done is we've added a client portal to our website. And when you go to lopeztaxservice.com and you go to the website, you'll see on the upper right-hand corner, it says client portal. If you click on it, it'll show you all 7 of our locations. You can pick the one that you want to work with, and it gives you several options. You can either come in for your appointment. You can open the client portal, which all you need is your email address, or you can scan and fax it to us. So we've done everything we can to make sure everybody stays safe. We want to get through this pandemic. California's governor finally opened up most of California yesterday, and we're going to start getting back to normal, I hope. But in the meanwhile, let's stay safe, especially with all the scary new stuff that's out there. And we've done a lot to make sure. Oh, yeah, we've also installed temperature gauges in each office. So the employee doesn't need to walk up to you and with an arm's length scan your temple. You walk up to a machine that's mounted to the wall, and you can scan your temple yourself.
Good to listen to. Actually, he's
So it's
talking
been
about.
working out pretty good.
I think he's.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, I'm sure every tax software is on the same thing we have. In our software, we enabled it so that tax preparers can e-sign the document. So like the 8879, and we'll be rolling out the bank products soon too, where they can just go and electronically sign their documents from their phone. So the taxpayers don't have to touch the pens, the preparers don't have to touch things. I know, Carlos, you did appointments in your car last year. They could even sign their tax return from their car if the taxpayer is not comfortable coming in to the office, but you can still have that preparer taxpayer relationship and contact. So yeah, if you haven't already asked your tax software company what they're doing, then just switch to my software. Just kidding. Ask your tax software. I mean, like I said, all the other softwares they're all great softwares, and they're all good people that write those softwares. So I'm sure they've all put in like features and tools to help you manage your office through all of this, like Carlos has been talking about.
Yeah, we'll get through this. We're
For sure.
a tough people, and we're smart. Everybody who's on this is smart, so you're going to get through it. Oh, you're muted, Vince.
There we go.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so our clients do love those features. They feel really safe. We have our face masks on. We have the shields in front of us. The best part, I think, and the clients think, is the gauge, the temperature gauge. They just lean in or use the wrist if they don't want to lean in too crazy. And that's a really, really great feature. Thank you. And then that's very helpful for everybody. And this way also keeps everybody separated 6 feet apart, and then they just take care of that and make sure that everybody's feeling good. If we'll also ask them if they're coughing or they're not feeling right. Just that's why we have the portal, to make it easy, so they can just scan us their information over, making it super easy.
Yeah, and then we got these really cool lanyards right here, and then we hang our masks on them. So this way you can always say you're wearing your mask.
Where's the Latino Tax Pro logo, Carlos? Suck them out and have one. You should make them out of the old Vegas badge lanyards.
Oh, that's a good idea, man. Yeah, we have a bunch of them left over.
There you go. Craft day at Latino Tax Pro.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Maybe ProTax Pro can sponsor one of these lanyards.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Yeah, but,
Always on the hustle there, Vince. I like it.
Hey, so I do have a question that a lot of people are asking in the comments for me to ask it. Here's a question from Mateo. Let me move this over here really quick. One of the questions is, of one of my returns last year still processing and no letter has been mailed to the client, and she gave me a call and cannot get anyone, or they've called the IRS and can't get a hold of anyone. What can I do to help and figure out what's happening? I'm assuming a return is still processing, no letter, and can't contact the IRS. What should somebody do in this situation?
Well, actually, you can contact the IRS. You'll be on the phone for a while. So our suggestion is don't call on Monday, the IRS, and don't call on Friday. Because Monday, they're coming in after a heavy weekend of doing what they like to do. Friday, everybody's thinking about leaving. So we recommend, if you're going to call the IRS, call Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. And most likely you'll get through. I called just the other day and I did get through after only about 10 minutes. But call someone over there, and they're working real hard to answer the phones.
And the other thing I'd suggest is go get a transcript. You go irs.gov/transcript, and you can pull down whatever information they have about that returns processing. Sometimes if it gets caught up in an identity theft filter, they maybe have mailed a letter to the address where maybe the taxpayer moved or something like that. That letter may not show on the transcript, and then you'll maybe know it's an identity theft issue. And then maybe you can ask them if you can get the taxpayer to do the verification process and how the IRS can help them do that. Or you might find something else in the transcript, like maybe they sent a notice out asking for more information about a child, or they asked for more information about something the notice number, I think, is printed on the transcript. Then you can go to the IRS webpage and look up the notice number. So getting access to that transcript, and you have to have the taxpayer there because they need their cell phone, they need a credit card or a car loan or a school loan statement. But getting a transcript will give you some really good insight to what's going on. And if they can't verify online, they can request a transcript mailed to them. It'll take a couple days, but that'll probably be faster than not doing anything. Or if you can get a hold of them on the phone, that's probably the best bet too.
Another thing too that we've discovered through the years is if someone's not getting their returns or information processed, ask them if they've moved since their last tax return. Because if they've moved and they didn't file a forwarding address with the post office, they're not going to get their mail.
Hey, Carlos, have you ever used the 8821? Have you ever, in that situation like that, have you done an 8821? How does that work? How does that process work?
Well, you mail it in and hopefully the IRS will change your address so that way you start getting your correspondence from them. You're talking about the change of address form, right? 8821?
Isn't 8821 the authorization to receive the notices? Like, it's not the power of attorney form, but it's like the middle one where you send it in, the taxpayer signs and you sign, and then you have to fax it still. I don't know anybody else that uses faxes but the IRS, but then you can get the notices. So if the IRS is sending them a notice, and like you said, they moved, they'll resend the notice to the tax preparer, and the tax preparer can kind of look at it and see what's going on.
Yeah, you can do that, but that'll be kind of slow.
Yeah, you're probably right. I didn't know how well it worked.
Awesome. So, and it's that time to be wrapping up again, getting ready for the next show or the next fireside chat, which we have them every fourth Tuesday of the month. And make sure you write down your questions, ask the experts here, Mr. Timur Taluy and Mr. Carlos Lopez, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Also, don't forget to subscribe. We'll add the newsletter link. We'll add Timur will add their newsletter link so you guys can be up to date with software education. Make sure that to basically tune in every fourth Tuesday of the month. Any last words you guys want to say, Timur, Mr. Lopez?
I would just say, look at the chat. I think Rachel just posted something with a link to the ProTax Pro. I know Carlos posted a link earlier. If you want information about our next session, which is in 4 weeks, which is going to be right after the filing season starts, right after IRS starts processing 30 million tax returns. If there's any delays in refunds, if there's any delays in processing, if there's any, there might be a new stimulus check coming at that point. Carlos and I are pretty clued in. Like I said, Carlos and his team attends, the NPL sessions, and I'm on the circuit board, and we're rather clued in. So whatever is out public information, we'll point you in the right direction to try to find it and get the best services out for your customers. So I think if you sign up for either one of those links, the one that Carlos posted or one that Rachel posted, we'll get you on our email list, like Carlos said, get the information out to you so you can register for our next webinar and really stay ahead of the game. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for attending. It's wonderful to be here.
Thanks, Timur. And and if you guys really want up-to-date software and the latest, greatest way to file your taxes, I encourage you all to look at ProTax Pro, see what they have to offer. State of the art, no downloads, no updates. Timur's right on it. He's got his ear on the industry, and we're here to serve you guys. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank you, Amanda and Bobby and Zach and everybody who contributed to the chat. It's great to see all of you so engaged. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Have a great tax season.
Yeah, awesome. And then Bobby says, looking forward to February. And so are we. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, before you go, Vince, Yvette wants to know about the newsletters from Latino Tax Pro. I mean, again, that source of information is so important for everybody. So maybe can you post a link to how to register with Latino Tax Pro?
Yes.
So you can get that up-to-date information, kind of breaking news every day.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
why don't you post that for Yvette and anybody else on the Facebook and on the Zoom, so they can make sure to register and make sure they get the latest breaking information from you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So
Where's the fireplace wood stove, Laura? My kids made some art right here. I used instead of the fireplace, Laura. Hopefully it was a good substitute.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely we'll tune in next month. Can't wait to see you guys there again. Stay tuned. I just added the link so you guys can register for the newsletter and be up to date with the latest and greatest information. We'll definitely be here as well. Submit your questions, send them through your chat, share it with your friends, like our page, and Protex Pro will tag you as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Thank you, Timur. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Rachel.
Thank you,
Everybody.
everyone. See you next time.